Welcome. We're going to take a quick look at some sample iBooks. So let's go ahead and open one up here. This is a pretty neat iBook about taking a field trip to the Badlands of South Dakota. I wanted to show you quickly some of the user interface elements of iBooks. The icons up here, this takes you to the bookstore. This is a table of contents. When you first come into a book, it'll give you an intro movie. You can get to the thumbnails. I'll show you how to do that real quickly. And then it has a list of the chapters as well as a glossary if you add a glossary. Another thing to note is that it has a neat area for you to add your own notes and highlights to a iBook. So very cool stuff. First thing that I wanted to show you as an example is just they call it a review widget. It's really just a way to do questions, review questions or test questions, what have you, within an iBook. And I thought this one was kind of cool. Let's go ahead and clear the answer out of here. This is a really nice drag and drop question. Let me read this one to you. It says, in the Badlands, generally, the more humid the conditions during formation, the more vivid the soil, and the more arid, the more drab the soil. So it asks us to label it correctly. So they've sort of given us the answer here, if you will. Hopefully it's a good enough resolution that you can tell that the more humid was probably going to be this one, because it does have a lot more color in the soil or the rock here, and this is the more arid. So let's go ahead and check that that's correct, and it is. And the thing that I wanted to point out here is, sometimes in instructional design we get stuck in sort of a way of doing tests or review questions that we want to be, really assessing them hard on what's going on. And I thought this was a pretty good instructional design technique here, because what they're doing is they're actually teaching through the question itself. They're telling you a really interesting point about the Badlands soil and rock formation here as they're asking. So it's an interactive way of delivering content and new concepts, rather than just doing it through sort of the words of the book itself. They're doing it here through a review question, which I thought was pretty cool. And I promised to show you the thumbnail, so let's go ahead and hit Shift-Command-T here. That gives us this cool little thumbnail view that allows us to see all of the different pages of a particular chapter, and we can scroll through those pages, and then at that point we can go ahead and pop to one or the other. So very cool way, very cool interface really of being able to select different pages within a chapter. If you can think of some of the different techniques that we use to do paging within our common tutorials, this is a little bit more illustrative and graphical way to do that type of thing. Let me take us back to chapter 1 here. I wanted to show another example of a pretty cool drag and drop interaction here. Let me clear this answer. So once again, we've got a soil formation, and they're asking us to properly label what is the oldest through the youngest part of this. So I'll go ahead and quickly label this one. So, oops, missed that a little bit. There we go, youngest. Check that answer. So youngest is at the top through oldest at the bottom. So very cool drag and drop question. But let's go ahead and sort of another feature that I wanted to show you that I'd like to show you a sample question from is the fact that up here we also have a search feature as well as a way to bookmark any page that we'd like to. And I've already bookmarked this page in chapter 2. And I think this is kind of a neat juxtaposition. We just saw a way to sort of label things, and do an interaction that is a drag and drop. But at the same time, here's another interaction that's a simple multiple choice, but it's got a nice illustration next to it with different striations here labeled, and they're asking us so which part of this soil or rock formation was formed over the longest period of time. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the one that's sort of down at the bottom here. Let's see if that's correct or not. That does happen to be correct. But the thing that I really wanted to point out here from an instructional design perspective is you don't always have to have the coolest interaction to deliver the same type of concept learning. So this is just simple multiple choice with a labeled question. Didn't have to use the drag and drop. And that's kind of nice from the perspective that while iBooks author and this type of ebook gives us a drag and drop type of review question, not every tool that we use is going to give us something that is that cool. So we can use our instructional design savvy to go ahead and create something that gets across the same point sometimes without having all of the same functionality. So some very cool things in this Badlands book that I wanted to start off with showing you some review questions.